welcome everyone. This is the Abundant Living Podcast. And today we are speaking with author and artist Ken Elliott. I'll just briefly read his bio. He's an astounding thought leader and teacher, and he's an artist and writer living in Castle Rock, Colorado, someone who has experienced and collected astonishing stories for over 30 years. And those stories have to do with what he writes about in his book, Manifesting 1, 2, 3, and You Don't Need 3. It's not your ordinary manifesting or law of attraction book. It contains critically new information well beyond law of attraction, and it makes the entire manifesting process amazingly simple. Special tools, talents, not necessary. The book also provides an elegant tool for dealing with your worries and negative thoughts. So we'll get into that a bit because that's a huge issue for so many people. Thoughts do create. They absolutely create. Ken has experienced sending objects in thought and having them appear in the home of someone gifted enough to describe what had been sent. Ken learned that intentions instantaneously start to manifest on the other side, which is the world of energy. He has commented, "I was fortunate. I directly learned that thought creates and does so immediately. In this book, I relate how thoughts begin to form in the non-physical world and how you can bring them into your life simply and efficiently. The information I gleaned is so simple, it's laughable." So a number of true stories are included in the book to clarify concepts and to encourage you. This is a results-oriented book. Over and over, people tell Ken about the successes with Manifesting 1, 2, 3. They say it just works. We just want to say welcome, Ken. Very glad you're here.
Thank you. It's an honor.
So your bio, again, states for Manifesting 1, 2, 3, and You Don't Need 3. It's not an ordinary manifesting book or a law of attraction book. And people have gone slightly nuts for law of attraction over the last 20, 25 years. They feel like that's it. That's the whole deal. What do you mean when you say it's not your ordinary law of attraction book? Does this information kind of take another step beyond that?
Well, I'll give you an example right off the top of the law of attraction. People will do the simple instructions that I've got in the book. And a couple of people call me a little too early in the morning. One of them said, "I woke up this morning and I don't have any worries about money anymore. I'm just on another level. I don't know what happened, but I'm not stressing about money." Another woman who was not a happy-go-lucky kind of person and probably affected her business being a hairdresser. And she called me after we had a session and she said, "I got to tell you, I don't know what happened, but I woke up this morning and I'm happy. I haven't been this happy since high school." And both these people said this as well, like they read it from a script. "I know this change is permanent. I had that happen to me one morning, and I knew the change was permanent." Now, the law of attraction is one of those things where, you put it out there, you have the vision board, this and that, and I'm all for all the manifesting features, prayer, vision boards, whatever it is, I'm all for it. But the law of attraction is something brought to you. That's the word attraction. Yes. These people weren't attracting this. They were manifesting that their lives would be better. One was concerned about finances. That went away. He woke up with it. Nothing was attracted. It was some sort of internal shift. The other person hadn't been that happy since high school. It was an internal change. So I would just put it out there that, it didn't come in with the doorbell ringing, the man gives you a bomb. And this underpins all of that. It started with William Buhlman, a friend of mine who has written very good books on out-of-body travel. And we had some private conversations. One day he said, sometimes at the other side, on the spirit side, and he said, I see these things that I have on these notes, these wishes, in various stages of formation. Now, I've had a lot of unpublished manuscripts or things ahead of time. I get a lot of stuff that's in the literature that's not in the literature. I never heard of this. I said, "What are you talking about?" He said, "Well, if I want a new van, say, I'll put it on this list and I'll refer to that every day. It could be stuck on the mirror. It could be a pad there in the dressing room or something. And when I go to the other side, I see that this wisp of smoke, a puff of vapor, and that van has only been on the list for maybe a week or so, maybe a few days. And when he's over there, he has a knowing that formless vapor is the van in a stage of formation. And he said, all these things are just arrayed in various stations of formation, depending on how long I've been working on it, or if I really get behind it. And he said, later on, that van will start to get more 3D. Later on, it gets to be full color, very 3D. And he says, it's coming over. I may not have the money. It might be willed to me. One woman got into a terrible hailstorm, and she got a car that was 2 generations beyond that one for very little money. She couldn't afford it. She got essentially a new car because the other one was destroyed. It was on her list to get a new car. However it happened, this thought starts as a vapor. It gets more and more solid. The more you touch it, the more you refer to it. It's layers and layers of intention. And if you have so-called good thoughts and you repeat them, it will do that. If you have so-called bad thoughts, I can't pay my bills. I just can't pay my bills. Your thoughts will happily do that. Your thoughts just make stuff. They don't judge. It's like gravity. I'm really, really good at gravity. What's this? So your thoughts just make things, so-called good or so-called bad things. And if you repeat something, and if you put one of the 2 great powers of the universe behind it, love or fear, it will create it even more quickly, more efficiently. That's it. That's the key, one of the big keys to the universe. So that, in the nutshell, is it. So after I hung up the phone with William, and I had him repeat that, this nutty thing, and if he says it's so, that he could see his things forming up. By the way, he said he would show me these lists, and they would come to be. The second time on the list, he put down he wanted to go to China, not just to visit. He wanted to live there for a time. And I think it was about 6 weeks later, his wife came in, who worked for General Motors, and said, essentially, honey, how would you like to go to China? I said, I'm listening. I said, well, General Motors wants me to start up a plant over there that I'm supervising here. We would live over there for a year, or maybe a year or 2 or something like that. He ended up over there for a number of years. It was really more than he wanted. He said when he got back, he just kissed the ground to get back to the United States. But it happened. As outrageous as that was.
Yeah.
But he put it on the list, it happened. I immediately put down the phone and called Judy Goodman, judygoodman.com. One of the most, if not the most gifted person on the planet, which is saying a lot. Goes out of body every night, comes back with memory 29 days out of 30. I won't even go into all the things she can do, but she's way past being psychic. And I said, I just talked with William, and he told me about his thoughts, to start off like little puffs of smoke and stuff. And this happened. She said, yeah, that's right. I said, why didn't you tell me? She said, well, you never answered. So off we went. So I started in a post office with her. And I didn't know what to do with this. I didn't recognize that as something important. It was just a thing. It was just something. A stranger had called me and told me, I understand you're talking with Judy Goodman a lot. Do you know who she is? I said, well, yeah, she's psychic. She said, well, Judy hates that term. She's a lot more than that. She told me the stuff about Judy. And she said, one of the things, if you send her something in thought, she'll get it. And I went, what? She said, yeah, she had a birthday last year, and I sent her a big bouquet. She was in the Caribbean, in a hotel somewhere. And the next day I called Judy up and said, I sent you something, did you get it? And she said, I did. When I walked in the room, there was this huge bouquet in spirit.
Yes.
She's gifted in spirit. Streamers coming off of it, all this movement. And she knew it came from that person because it has her energetic footprint on it. Now, as it turns out, Judy's birthday was the next day. So I called Judy up right after talking to this woman about the bouquet and said, tomorrow's your birthday, I'm going to send you something in thought. She said, what are you going to do? Well, I don't know. I'll just think about it really hard and send it to you. She said the magic words, but I didn't get it. She said, listen, you're going to send me a gift. It's going to come from your heart. Mm-hmm. I'm going to get it every time, right over my head. So I got up the next morning. She said, you just spend 2 or 3 seconds on it. You don't have to be a creative. You don't have to be an artist. So I just got something simple, a simple silver vase with a yellow rose. That's it. And did I take 2 or 3 seconds? I did. And then I crammed it for about another 2 or 3 minutes or something. I just wore myself out on this thing. Went to work. I was worthless at work. Came back at lunch, crammed it some more, and called Judy up. And this was the first of many episodes where I said, ask her, did you get the thing I sent? She said, well, a lot of people on the other side know it's my birthday, so they sent a lot of gifts. A lot of people here know it's my birthday. They sent some gifts too. Ken, we go way back. Yours is right up front. I just want to know if you got the thing I sent. She said, did you send me a rose? When you see these things on television, that's their story. But when it hit me, it was like, I just choked on it. I said, yeah. Was it your intention to send me a yellow rose? Yeah. She said, well, that's not what I got. What? She said, I'm looking at a rose that's been dipped in gold.
Wow.
In the vase. It's all aglow. And I said, well, that's not what I said. She said, I know. There's somebody that wanted to get in on this. This was the first time you're going to send something like this. So somebody wanted to get behind this. I said, well, who can do that? Thought's instantaneous. We talked about that. People talk about the quantum. It's just instantaneous everywhere. She said, well, that's wrong. Well, I said, well, who could do that? She said, some big guy. What do you mean, big guy? She said, JC, big guy. I said, what? I can't put my arms around that. And I'm not Ken the Holy Roller guy, but he's a get around guy. I have lots of stories, and I can just tell you what he looks like and all this. Get around guy. Anyway, so she said that's what he did, and he embellished it and passed it on. So every once in a while I would send her something, he would show up, and he's a great gift giver, and it would just choke me up and bring me to tears sometimes. But after doing this over and over and over and over and over, just as a game, and Judy was so patient, I didn't know I was supposed to write a book, that was going to happen. So she'd just bring me along like a 3-year-old. And one day I finally got it. But I came up with something clever, I thought, and I'm going to try this out in real time. She's 2,500 miles away. She's in Georgia. I'm in San Francisco. And I called her up and said, are you busy? She said, no. I said, do you have a chair in your room? I want to send you something in thought in real time. She said, okay. What are you going to do? I'm going to think about it really, really hard and send it to you. So, all right, I want to send something unique. I don't want to have it overlap by what the kids are doing outside, playing outside the window or something. So I came up with a 5-foot-tall Daffy Duck. And he's got like a stick ruler, goes up, and then there's another board here. And in red lipstick, it says love on it. So 5-foot-tall Daffy Duck with a handmade sign. And I said, okay, I'm ready. I'm going to start sending it. And I worked really, 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 really hard on this. And I must not be that good at this. I think I'm average, maybe even worse than average, because I couldn't really concentrate on this thing as well as I thought I could, but I really crammed on this thing. And after about, 2 or 3 minutes, I said, all right, I'm just worn out. Right now, what have you got? She said, are you trying to send me a cartoon character?
Yeah.
I went, yeah.
Wow.
She said, well, what you're putting out there was very wimpy. She said, what I'm seeing is a 2.5-foot tall cartoon character. He's got little skinny arms, little skinny legs, and he's got cartoon colors on him, and he's got a stick in his hand. 2 minutes, 2,500 miles in real time. Thoughts were taking form.
Well, I just want to say that the miracle there isn't only that Judy Goodman has this incredible ability to see what's forming in the ethers and all the air around us, but that as you were thinking something, the intention and even the feeling, the presence of Daffy Duck actually came into her life. So anytime we think something towards someone, on some level, they're going to receive it. Might be subconscious, might be they receive a feeling in the heart space. Yeah. Miracle there is that you were creating in the energetic, that sea of energy we all live in. And she picked up on it because she's psychic, but even if she hadn't been psychic, that presence would still have been in the room, because what we put out is real. It's there.
Yes.
I agree with you. That goes beyond law of attraction, because you were creating.
The big thing is, and I wish I had a Harvard degree and a lab coat, but I don't. I'm just a regular guy that was given this material, and after doing this over and over with Judy's patience, the book finally got written. It's not my book. I'm just passing this through. The big part of this is that we're all empowered to do this. The big guy down the street's not any better in gravity than you are. This is a natural law.
Why do you think Yeshua came in, Jesus of Nazareth? Why did he come in to help? And has that happened times?
That's a good question. Lives intermingle. ages and centuries and things like that. For whatever reason, he got his attention because it was important. I think that's the bottom line.
Yeah.
And he did it a couple more times, and it could be touching. It could be very touching. And it's useful for me because right away when the book was published, there were some people that would say, well, that's not in the Bible. I say, well, if you go into the chapter, The Rose and the Duck, I think you'll see that I got the Good Housekeeping seal of approval on this.
Yes, absolutely right.
And that was only one episode, but it was rare. It was rare.
Well, what
Out
about
of 50 times, it showed up like 3 times.
What about the loaves and fishes that he blessed and gave thanks for? Even if that's just metaphoric, he was showing us, as he blessed that and fed the 5,000, he was showing us thankfulness. You can draw forth just about anything wonderful. And with this feeling of love, when she mentioned the heart space, send it from the heart, it went past you at the time, but over time you began to realize it's love or thanks that helps us create. And you're thinking, now you were talking about a list, a wish list. Tell us about that method, because that one I totally love because I'm a writer. So what did he do what you did to write out a list?
Yeah, I have a list on my phone. And the most important thing you can do every day, actually 2 things. And Judy put this really well. I like the way she said it. Before your feet hit the ground in the morning, say 7 grateful things. You might only have 4, you might have a dozen. You might forget. But for someone who can see energy very clearly, it helps clear the field. And by clearing the field, it enables some of these good things you want in your life to get through. You're not going to entangle it. I had a time where financial things were really worrying me, heart pounding, worrying me. And I can't afford to have that kind of worry. And I called Judy and I said, I need some help getting out of this tangle with this financial stuff. She said, I've been checking on you when she goes out of body. And I have helped you do somewhat by untangling, that was a word. It's like a web around your really clear intention, but it had this junk on it. I can't do it for you. And I'm just going to do this one time.
Yeah.
But I want to describe this thing as like a web. And our fears will get all over something, the so-called good thing that we want. So I just tell myself I can't afford to have that sort of thing. Now back to your question, which was?
Well, that William Buhlman wrote out a list, and I just wanted you to...
Oh, yes. Yeah, so I have the list. That's my most important thing. Now, here's the feature on this. So the number one of the 1, 2, 3 is basically this is how this works. And it's not often that somebody can come in and I feel like I have real authority on telling people this is how it works. I've proofed it out so many times, forward and backward. And I've actually used space and time. I've made constructs, taken things from 100 years ago and put them into a place that doesn't exist on the map out there that somebody else created, and took that thing 100 years ago and put them in a place. And called Judy and said, "Did you get the thing I got?" She got the thing. That's wild. Yeah. And I've done other things that are along those lines. So, yeah, I'll go down that list. And a key feature of that is this. I remember talking with William Buhlman. I'm going to write the book. He's the out-of-body guy. He's out of body a lot. So like talking to Christopher Columbus when you're talking with him, because he roams around, moves around. And I said, I came up with this thing, and it was Dooley, who was very good at the manifesting. There's a number of books on that. And he had talked about going into the future. And so I'm adding that in, and it makes perfect sense. And William slammed the table really hard. He said, "Oh my God, of course. Your thoughts can make the future. You don't do the now, you do the future." And so the big feature of this is, I'll give you an example. We were talking about money. In my future, and often in my future, I don't have to visualize it. If I want to go to Paris, I'm going to visualize Paris. In this list of things, I'm in my chair, in my living room, sitting comfortably, and I just declare, I'm in my future. Right now, I'm sitting in my chair in my future. If I like, I can draw a breath of air in my future. It's an odd feeling. I'm in my future. And in my future, finances are not a concern for me. And I'm so very grateful. So the key feature is I'm in my future, I'm grateful. In the middle, there's the thing. I didn't say well, I have to, before I get that job, I've got to get a new car, I've got to lose 5 pounds, got a new wardrobe. No. In the future, you're in this new job and you love it, you're well respected, it's fulfilling, it's just perfect for you. The money, you don't have to go through all that. I'm in my perfect job, I'm in my future, and I'm so grateful. It gets taken care of. Now, you can be at cross purposes. I got my new job, but I'm not worthy. They're going to find out about me, and I'm going to get laid off. And on track 1, you get the job. On track 2, you get laid off. That happens.
If that's the predominant vibration, I don't think I'll be able to hold on to this job. They'll find out that I'm an imposter and that I'm not really good at it. If that predominates over, I have this, then this is going to win out over here, because the fear.
But it has to predominate. They could be equal. You get one, and then the other happens, and you get an A++ on manifesting. They can come in separately.
Yes.
They can come in separately.
Yeah.
Now, sometimes people say, I just don't like my job. I wish I had a better job, but I can't leave that job. I need the financial security. And they get fired. And they call back and they say, oh, I got this wonderful job. I just love this job. And I'll always caution them. I'll say, well, you've only been there a couple of days, and we're going to write the story up the newsletter. If you have a story, contact me. I'll send you a book. And I'll say, well, just pay attention. It may be, but it also may be a soft place to land. And that job may go away and a new one comes in. I don't know, but you're on track for that job. Yeah. And that happens as often as you get the job.
The quality of the person's experience, and you talk about this as far as relationships as well, that person may not stay with that job forever, and yet it was much better than the last one. They're in the process. They're already moving up vibrationally to where and with this consciousness of I can create what I desire. And I have that create, like you say, if you drop something, it falls. Gravity is just a law. That's just going to be there, whether you and I feel good about ourselves when we drop something or not, whether we're celebrating it or not. It's just a law. And if you are pitching into your future the energy and the reality of something, it's going to happen, because that's a law as well. And again, you're not just drawing in, you're not just attracting, you're actually the creator. You're the one who drew on that blanket.
You're creating.
Yeah.
It's upside down different. You're creating instead of waiting for the delivery boy. Yeah.
I was just going to quickly say, I like the way you apply that to relationships as well, that people will say, well, I'm out and about more and I am meeting more people, and they do seem to be a higher quality woman or a higher quality man or what have you, but I haven't met the right one yet. You said, well, look, stay in the game. You're moving up. You're in the process. You're moving along. And that's great advice.
Right. And relationships, valid criticism is I'm single. And, I'm up there in years. So I've had marvelous relationships with wonderful, wonderful women, and I've learned so much. And I've been doctored up and patched up and trained up by wonderful women and made me a better person thanks to all of those wonderful women. And it still hasn't been the long-term relationship. There's nothing wrong with me, nothing wrong with them. I don't know the deal, but as I like to say, when you're manifesting things, there's a trend line, and sometimes it does this, but the trend line is upward. Yeah. And it's always been upward with me on that sort of thing. And so I just don't know, but it is on my list. It certainly is. Now, what I asked for is, I used to say the perfect partner. And Judy, who really has a long-term view of things, she said, I'll suggest that you're manifesting what you've been waiting for, which makes a lot of sense in my situation. Why have I waited? I don't know, but I like that. So in my future, I'm with the one I have been waiting for. And I'm so very grateful. Yeah. And I just go on.
Well, I love that to bits. Something else I want to get into, Ken, is that, for instance, I'm a channeler. I do channeling sessions with people, which is kind of a spiritual life coach type situation.
Right.
And occasionally we'll have a client who has been so mired in negative thought for whatever reason, bad past lives, or childhood, or this is the whole tenor of the family. Everybody thinks negatively. They're so mired in that they'll stick with this belief, and you handle this in the book, this feeling of I can't do this, I can't receive this because this is not in alignment. They'll look and they'll say, no, the most I can hope for is this amount of money, or the most I can hope for is this kind of a job. And they can't take their eyes off of where they are at the moment, plus all the limiting thoughts. Now, how do you counsel someone? You're just stuck on
Well, you're dealing with an unlimited setup. Call it a matrix, call it the universe, whatever it is. We have been fully empowered to make anything. I don't think it was predestined that the iPhone was invented. I don't think it was predestined that anything you can think of, that we have computers and this and that. We created those ourselves. We might have had help somewhere, but these things happen because we put ideas together and came up with this single thing, this iPhone. What I learned is don't put limits on anything. We don't have the big view. We don't know how that new job's going to happen. We don't know how the car is going to get fixed. We don't know how the rent's going to get paid. We don't know how that terrible relationship you have with one of your children would just magically get fixed. And stories about that too. Years later, they still think about it every day, how that miracle happened. We call it a miracle. I would never put a limit on, I just said never. I have to catch myself. I'm trained not to put limits on something. And I'm also trained not to say never. I don't use the word want. If I do, I catch myself. It's not a sin. But instead of saying, well, I want that car, I'll say, I'm working towards that car. I'm thinking about getting that car. I'm manifesting that car. I'm praying about that car. I'm telling everybody about that car. I've got pictures of that car. Because you won't hear me say I'm wanting a car. I'm not in a position of want. I'm in a position of creating.
Yeah.
But if we're trained to just use the word want, I don't worry about it too much.
I feel it's so similar to the word need, and need is a real dampener on our thoughts and our emotions, I feel, because if we put ourselves in the energy of, we're going to create more, unfortunately. That's the order put into the universe.
Yeah. If you're God Almighty and I walk up to you and I say, I need a raise, you'll go next. And I'll go, what? Yeah, you're needy for a raise. Next. What is it you desire? The next person comes up. It's that kind of thing.
Yes. Yes.
And this, it's just set up. It's I haven't had a tour of the prayer department, but it works. It might be slower than we wish, but those things happen. People that manifest things incidentally, accidentally, on purpose. It's interesting to see those things happen. And you don't have to petition God to manifest. You get to manifest on your own. Now, you can go to the prayer department and do that sort of thing, but you can manifest things on your own. I'm looking at a light switch over here. I'm not putting sticky notes on the light switch. Please, when I hit the switch, please come on. I want my electricity to always work. We don't have to petition because we know it's hardwired to the electric company.
Yes.
So we don't have to petition that. You don't have to petition this manifesting process. It is hardwired when you're thinking of something, and if you repeat it, it's going to take form. It's the example I like to use is you have a piece of Xerox paper and you put it in on the other side every day. And after 100 days, that thing's got some weight. A ream of paper weighs something.
Yes.
And it starts to take on form, take on mass. And the people that can see that, and I've had heads up with Judy Goodman, that thing is coming over. One time it was bad news. I thought I fixed that. I did not. Another time it was good news. It was nice to know, but she could see it taking form. And I got a little heads up. Just enough so I could go forward and write the book. Will you write the book, please? I'm giving you all this information. So she was helping me along on that. I finally put it on the paper. By the way, the book I dictated it using my little headphones and a computer, and I just corrected almost every line as I did it because it's very imperfect, but it was in my language. Took it to an editor, got a book cover. It was all done in about 7 weeks. It made itself. It just made itself.
Well, because you've been the conduit, you've been the channel for that information. It's probably one of the bigger things you came in to offer people in your life mission, your life work, as well as being.
Could be the best thing you ever did. Sure. We might say something to the guy sacking the groceries, and it might go out 7 generations. We don't know.
Yeah.
Might be the best thing you did in your life. Sure. Yeah.
I love that. Something you put in the book is don't be concerned with how something you desire could possibly happen. And so
That's a limit.
That actually, it gets in the way, doesn't it? If we start saying how, do you think it slows the manifestation?
Well, every thought has to fall into place. If you specify a script, then the thought has to fall into place. Why would you do a 500-piece puzzle when you could just say you open the box and the puzzle is done? Why would you put all that stuff in there?
Yeah, that's interesting.
So it goes back to, you can't get the job unless you lose 5 pounds, get a new wardrobe and a new car. No. You have the job. The partner, same thing. You got to do this, you got to do this, got to do this, you got to say French, you got to do this. No. And this actually happened. I think in the book I had the example, once you do this and you put it out there, do not go outside in your trash clothes. Even if you go to the hardware store, don't go out there with your crappy clothes or your sweatpants. You may find yourself in the produce section, a woman in the produce section in her sweatpants, and she drops the vegetable on the floor, and she bends over, and some guy comes up behind her and goes, "It's her." Well, hopefully that will work. You never know who you're going to run into. Yeah. And there was a wonderful couple. He came up behind this woman, and it just hit. And we thought, it was just remarkable that I saw that story come true. And she brushed him off. There was a voice that said, "Can I help you with those bags?" I said, No, I'm fine. I said, "No, I would like to help you." She turned around and went, "Yes, you can help me."
It's not just a matter of being clear about what we want and putting ourselves into that future image, but already living as if it's on the way.
It's on the truck.
Yeah.
It is on the truck. You're making it. Now, it's easier for me to say that because it's been proofed out 50 times or so. And I think there's 400 stories on the web. You can just search them on the computer. Just any topic you think of. And they keep coming in. I do 2 a month. So again, if you have the story, send it in. I'll send you a free book because that's a lot of stories that are compiled, and I just love getting more twice a month. A big issue is fear, and I hit that. I had this manifesting thing down, right? And then I got a new house with a big fat mortgage. It was impossible for me to get that loan, but I got it. And now I'm sitting on the couch and realizing, I just ran up $4,000 on the Amex card, and here comes this big fat mortgage. I don't make that much money in a month, and I just got a 30-year fixed mortgage. What? I got to hit a grand slam home run every month. Am I crazy? And my heart was just coming out of my chest. And we had a big downturn. I got a call from a woman who's the #1 agent in this area, and they're not getting any sales, starting to go through her savings. And we talked about the manifesting thing, and she said, "You've got to do something about this. I'm just scared to death." And I hung up the phone, and I'm going, "Yeah, I got to do something. I'm scared too, and I know this isn't going to work." And so I'm going through the sports analogy: swing through the ball, all this kind of crazy stuff. And I had nothing. My mind went blank, and I got a download. I don't get those very often, but it just came in, and it said, "Take action on your worries." Well, what does that mean? Got another download, trying to help me out. So if financial is a problem, then call a mentor that's in your area, in your field, or just a mentor. Start looking at available jobs online, Wanted, whatever it is. Go to your boss, make a list, how you can be more valuable to the company. If you submit that, try all these things. You can't get them all done in one day. It's calls to make, things to do. But at the end of the day, even if you only got one done, as you're going to bed, or if it's this worry, say, "I've done all I can do today." And just go to bed and stop it. And you pick it up again tomorrow. So take action on your concerns. I can't tell anybody to stop worrying about it. I can't say, oh, don't worry about that diagnosis, or don't worry about the fact that the sky is falling. Just take action on it. And get yourself a list and run it. That's what I do. It's the best thing I can do to dispel the fear. All I want to say is I've done everything I can do for now, and pick it up again the next day.
Yeah, you talk about love and fear, and they really are opposites. They really are. People will talk about love and hate as being opposites, but they're not. The opposite of love is definitely fear. And we have to do what we can to move out of that. Even if you're just putting on your to-do list something that will help you to move along financially, or brainstorm new ideas or something, just put something on the to-do list that will assist you.
Yeah, get some help. Yeah, there's a lot of fear in the media. There's a lot of fear in television. Everywhere you go, there's love and fear everywhere. But fear sells better than love.
Yeah.
Everybody knows that. So I don't watch the news. I just don't watch the news. I read the news constantly, but I have good sources for news. And I can cross-check. And it doesn't matter what side of the spectrum you're on, and I'll make this little pitch right now. I don't care if you're hard left or hard right or anything in between. The memo on the table is we need to all get along and help each other.
Yes.
And there's brains all over the place. We need all these brains in a place where it's helping the many instead of the few.
Yeah, amen.
And there's my soapbox on that.
That's fine. So some people, I just want to ask, I don't recall if you address this in the book, but some people will say if somebody hasn't met the right partner, or they would love to buy a house, but they just haven't yet, or the right job, financial assistance. Some people will say, well, then it's just not in your life blueprint. It's not God's will, or it's not best for you. And at this time, have that. Now, what do you do with that?
Well, I'm not all knowing in those respects, but I have been told and I have been shown personally a change in the plan.
Okay.
I literally got to see a change in my plan when I was on the other side, which was pretty eerie to watch. Somebody change your plan. But I've heard those stories from people like Judy Goodman, and really have access to that sort of information. But we do come here with things to do. We have our little contract, and we're going to take on this thing and that thing. Sometimes people take on too much.
Yes.
And they so-called fail because they're overachievers. And I'm not going to name names. There's a lot of people who just belly flop, and they took on a lot. And we might think it was terrible people, but that was a probably very involved soul that just took on a lot of stuff in this crazy, chaotic place, which is a big school full of pain and full of joy. You can create change. Now, again, going back to that basic soul contract, we'll call it, it's not written in stone, but it's pretty direct. There'll be a difficult thing to change with. But knowing that, you can influence the box you're in. You can make it better. You can make it worse. I don't fully understand why there's so much suffering in the world, and how so many people can die in a fire or a flood or an earthquake. And we see that all the time. What is that? I'm not going to offer an opinion because I'm so limited in my view. But I do feel that there is an overarching plan. And we come back again and again, and sometimes it's karmic, sometimes we're the example for others, on and on and on. It's an amazing place, and a very complicated place. But while we're here, we are empowered to create. And you don't have to muddle through or suffer through. Change it. Change it.
Well, that is wonderful. That puts us in the driver's seat, so we don't just sort of schlep along feeling quite passive and done in by life, and we realize, well, I have a say here. It's not just life happening to me, it's me happening to life and shaping it, shaping the energy that we're all focused on. That's really that's a very positive look. I'm wondering, did you have a near-death experience? I don't know if you want to talk about it, or do you see the other side in your meditations? Or I'm wondering, when you say you have been on the other side, is that before you incarnated, or what was the situation that you were there?
Oh, well, William had taught me how to go out of body, so I had some of those. If I were more disciplined, I would have a lot more of those. But I was lazy about it, and I had some experiences, and I got to, if you get over there, you're over there. And sometimes I just get pulled out and I'm shown something. Sometimes it's there's some kind of event coming. I don't know what it is. I got a heads up on 9/11, had a heads up on that Boston bombing, and but I didn't know what it was. But in the second case, the message was don't overreact. And on the 9/11 thing, what I was told was soon they'll have much to pray about.
Wow.
Yeah, that was quite a thing. I got to see the guy who gave me the message, and that was interesting. In a way, I could understand it. Yeah. And 6 weeks later, it happened. When I woke up, I thought, I didn't get that info, but internally I felt it was going to be a nuclear strike on New York. That's I just felt it down to my fingernails, but that's not what happened. But it was New York, and it was catastrophic, and it was a world event.
Yeah, I had a dream or two before it happened. A lot of people did.
Yes.
Showing some of the events of that day, and it was, I think a lot we tapped into the reality of it in the etheric before it became physical.
Yeah, well, it's forming up out there.
Yeah.
And that could be part of a plan. I was here with Columbine, and that was something that was part of a plan.
Yeah.
Judy explained that to me. Other people were picking this up. That was a very high soul group. They came down here to put out a memo, so to speak. And that memo went out to every little sheriff's office and PTA and school board, desk in the West. And the memo was to stop bullying people, stop separating people, demeaning people, looking at them as others or inferior to you. And it didn't have to result in murder, but this soul group could handle the karmic hit. And so in our society, it just went that far that's how it played out. It's still playing out. Now, I don't know the details of every one of these school shootings, but we're still getting that memo.
Yeah, we are, most definitely. And I agree that there are soul groups who come in and they experience what people can't quite believe. And it's because they volunteered to shift us in some way. The planet is instrumental in that.
They're teachers. Who are disabled children, or the children that die very young or right out of childbirth. They're teachers. There's a tragedy, but there's a lesson in it. And I don't know that that's the case every time. It's all too complicated for a simple explanation. It's fascinating.
Absolutely it is. I'm wondering, how did you come up with the movie idea where people are closing their eyes, imaging that they are, I don't know, maybe even some people don't close their eyes when they image. I tend to use it that way, but not always. But how did you come up with that thing about saying, okay, I'm in my perfect future and this is happening and I'm in my wonderful house and with my wonderful, in this case, the life partner I have waited for and making a wonderful...
Yes.
How did that come about?
Well, part of it came about because I was diligent, and another part came about because I was lazy. So the diligent part is, let's say, if I want that vacation, then I will imagine all the details I can get. And it's happening while I say this. I'm at the Sidewalk Cafe in Paris, and the cars go by. The diesel's a little smelly, but it's a nice place, and I've got my little breakfast here, and I just see the Eiffel Tower or the whatever it is, and it's Paris. Table is Paris, and the coffee is Paris. It's all Paris. And I visualize that as far as I can go, and I'm in my future, and this is all happening. On the other hand, I have a list that's not short, and say with the perfect partner, I'm with I use that perfect partner. I'm with the one I've been waiting for. Now, when I say perfect, I have big ears, and she thinks they're cute. And I have, the wrinkles or the moles, it's all fine. It's lovely. And she may have something that she's concerned about, and I think it's darling. So it's perfect for each other. But I do like the one I've been waiting for, because I have been waiting, but I'm not actively waiting. That's a subtle command to surround and wait for something.
Yeah.
Just keep moving. It is a subtle command. I'll give you an example. If you're on the other side, you're out of body, you're on the other side, you're just in spirit form, and if you see a cup sitting on a table, the act of looking at that cup will draw you to the cup until your nose bounces off of it. You didn't say, I want to go see that cup. Just looking at it will draw you to it. It's a subtle command. Anything you say or do over there happens instantly, with the exception of if you see the Hall of Records or some sort of thing, and it's a mass construct, and there's thousands of hours of layers of attention, you can't walk over there and decide you can push it down. That ain't gonna happen. You can't will that thing to crumble. And on this side, you can't walk up to the White House with a can of pink paint with the intention of painting the White House That's not going to happen. There's layers of intention to keep you from doing that. If with the one I've been waiting for, I feel her just sit down next to me and the cushion goes down, and I just pat her on the leg, or just put my hand on her leg, and there we are, and it's all wonderful. No detail. That's it. It's just one of those idyllic little moments, a nothing moment. But there she is, hand on her leg. That's all that's necessary. And I'm there in the future. It's happening.
So not
and all
too
the
many details, and yet you've really put yourself there in spirit. You've put yourself there in terms of experience. You're experiencing
in my mind, yeah. But a lot of the other things are just in the chair, whenever it is. If I'm doing it in bed, I'm going to go to sleep most of the time. You're trained to go to sleep.
Yeah.
So I like to do that in the morning first thing, but I'll get around to it one way or the other. If I miss it, I've been doing this for years, so things are pretty well built up out there, and a lot of these things have already happened. Even if something happens, I still reinforce it. If I hit the lottery yesterday, I would still be in my chair, and I would just simply say, I'm in my future, and finances aren't a concern.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm really grateful for that. I don't care how it happened. It's going to be legal, that's understood. That's just not a concern. It's already happened. It's already happened. With all of that. A big thing for me is, number one is health.
Yeah.
Number two is what I'm here to do. I tell people I'm an artist. That's what I tell the straights. But this is what I do. This is what I do. And it's very rewarding. It's very fulfilling. And I don't need the praise. I don't get that much praise for it, but it makes a wave. And that's my little bit. If we could all make a wave, we'd turn this place upside down. It'd be much, much nicer. I keep hearing if 10% of the people could be in a place similar to what I'm describing, it would change the world.
Yeah, I agree.
Just 10%.
Yeah, it's a relatively small percentage, because those few people could be holding the energy and the intention, and therefore bringing forth the reality of a lot more peacefulness, a lot more well-being for humanity in general. Beautiful stuff.
Yes.
So, Ken, I just want to give your URL, your website. It's manifesting123.com. Ken does put out a newsletter that he's been referring to a few times a month, I think. And is it twice a month or once a month that you put that out, Ken? And it's great fun.
Twice a month.
Twice a month, and it will have
Thank you. It is
station stories on it. It's good fun. I enjoy it. And
fantastic stories and little stories. Yeah.
Yeah, it's good fun. To view Ken's artwork, visit kenelliott.com, and that's Elliot with two L's, IOTT, two T's.com, kenelliott.com. And you can find him on Facebook under Manifesting123, LinkedIn and Pinterest under Ken Elliott, and on Instagram as well under Ken Elliott. The book, again, is Manifesting123, and you don't need three. And just remind us briefly, what's the third one? What's the three that you don't need?
We're very powerful.
Yeah.
We're empowered to make anything. We're children of the God that works for you. And we are heard and we're looked after. We're here for a short time. It's way too short. Our bodies aren't built to go for 300 years. And it is a wonderful experience. We do it more than once, if you believe it or not. Fortunately, I've seen a lot of those lives, so I can speak to that. But we're incredibly powerful. And so you don't have to get into a zone. You don't have to zen up. I don't speak anywhere in the book about, I don't put limits on it, that you have to be in a state, that you have to be a good manifester, that you have to be someone who's really good at meditation. You can flunk that. You can get a less than a great grade on that. So I don't put it out there where we can get anything less than a good grade. You just put your thoughts out there and just go on down the road. So we don't need to be anything else than who we already are. It's our birthright. So this number 3 about having to get into a certain way and dress a certain way and say certain things and be ceremonious. No, you can do this in your car. Do this in your car. In fact, I did one of the things in my car. The manuscript is done. It's about to go to the editor. And I'm driving in the car, and I remember a good friend of mine who says, you give all your time away, Ken. And people would call me and say, I know you're busy. They'd all say, I know you're so busy, but I'd like to ask you something. And I'm just going, well, I'm not really that busy, but I'm sure putting that out yeah, I am pretty busy. And I didn't have any personal time. And, I came up with this thing enough to write a book. And here's the thing, I don't have any personal time right in my face. If there's something in your way, then manifest that it doesn't exist. So while I'm driving the car, I'm going to go pick up that manuscript and send it off to the editor. I added something I came up with. In my future, I have perfectly synchronized time. It's perfectly synchronized between what I'm here to do, my friends, families, careers, my partner, and my personal time. Now, that was an internal move. It happened within about 2 weeks. It was like the guy that woke up, he didn't have financial problems. The woman woke up happy. No moving parts. It was in me. It was in me. So it started happening. I was a webmaster for a lot of charities, about 5 of them. And within about 2 months, 3 of them called and said, Ken, you've been doing this charity for us for 3 or 4 years. We've got another webmaster. Somebody else wants to take it over. Is that okay? Bye. Yes. So a lot of that was taken off of me. And I was up to, 12, 1 o'clock almost every night because there was 7 or 8 webs going on, mine and other people. And that was lifted. It just went away. And I'm more efficient. I put that into my paintings. In my future, I get better with every painting and more efficient. I wasn't that efficient. So I'm pretty efficient now. That was the stunning thing to happen for the asking. It's just crazy good.
It can work also for these things that we consider to be a bit intangible, but which are incredibly important. Because I read that part of the book and I thought, oh, I have to do this. I have to start creating the same thing to synchronize everything.
Yeah, that's my number one. I see that all the time. It happened today, happened yesterday. Almost every day, it'll happen. If I'm running late, they're running late.
Yeah.
If I just don't want to go to that event with that person. It was great with the person, but I've just got so much on my plate. They'll call and say, I'm sick. I can't go. Do you want to go? No, I don't want to go. It's okay. That sort of stuff happens a lot. And I just love it. It's confirmation.
Very good. Very good. Excellent. That's wonderful. Thank you so much, Ken. Really delightful to speak with you. And again, the book is Manifesting 1, 2, 3, and you don't need 3. And it's by Ken Elliott, and it's available on Amazon and probably other online sources as well. So huge thanks. And thank you to all of our listeners and viewers. And it's just been a real pleasure. Huge blessings.
But I can't let you go just yet, because I read your book last night.
Oh, okay.
Lennon Speaks.
We were talking about Lennon Speaks. That's right.
Putting that out into the world.
Yeah.
And on a number of occasions, what did you talk about? That your thoughts take form.
Yes.
I just love that. He was very specific about that.
Yeah,
I love that very much. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, and huge blessings. And
So helpful.
take care.